Hey, welcome back to the Travel Ins podcast. Today, my guest is Creed Fisher. He's a country music singer based out of Texas, which originally from West Texas, from what I understand. But now you're,
Odessa, yeah.
yeah. And you're on the road, so you're the exact type of person I'd love to interview because you're in the middle of it right now. You've been hitting the road pretty hard. You got the Patriots Fest coming up this weekend on the 18th in Aurora, Illinois, playing with some great bands and groups there. Big and Rich, Ted Nugent.
It's gonna be a good time.
That's going to be a party.
Yeah, we're all coming together.
And all the proceeds go to veterans, 100% of it. And that's,
Yeah,
I mean, that's as good of a cause as you get.
that's what I'm all about. You know that.
You know, how much are you on the road? Give my listeners an idea. I looked up your tour dates. It's quite a bit.
I just call it always on tour.
Yeah, yeah,
So I tour year round. I get a weekend off here and there, but it's usually more towards the holidays.
yeah.
But I stay pretty busy. I like it that way though.
See,
When
I'm
I
just
get home too long, I go crazy.
what. See, I'm like you. Like when I'm at home, my brain's thinking I'm not making money.
Yeah.
That's just how my brain equates things now. So
Always talk about balance, man. You know, Johnny Cash talked about that. I miss home, but when I'm home for 3 days, I'm ready to get back on the road.
that's it. And thankfully he worked it out with with his second wife a little bit better than the first wife about that's the balance of relationships too, right? I mean, I have two daughters. I have an ex-wife, a current wife, and a granddaughter. So I want to be a part of all their lives except for the ex-wife.
I think
So
that's the biggest challenge of living on the road is the logistics of making sure you're there to see your loved ones. It's very hard on marriages, as you well know.
and then some.
Yeah,
But with my current wife, I was doing the job I have now. So she kind of came into it knowing, hey,
she
this
knew what
is
she was getting into.
yeah. It's like someone meets you now. They're like, well, he's gone. I mean, you're February, March, and April. You're on the road quite a bit, my friend.
Yeah, we hit the ground running for sure, man. We, I was off for a month, and it was by the end of it, I was going crazy. I was going stir crazy. But man, I just love to stay busy. That's all it is, you know.
Do you
I
think
just love playing and doing what I do.
you but you don't have the traditional music background? I mean,
No, not at all.
starting at 35, 36,
I didn't pick up a guitar till I was 35.
that's not the
So
common way to become a country music singer.
no, not at all. Everything of my entire life has been opposite of how it's supposed to be done, you know. But I didn't pick up a guitar till I was 35. I was coming out of a 12-year marriage where I had, where I had my kids, and it was therapy back then when I first started. It's always something I kind of wanted to do. You know, I grew up out in West Texas, and there's not many,
Yeah.
country singers out there. So but I grew up watching Elvis, and who didn't watch Elvis and go, I want to do that right there.
Yeah.
But life takes over, and I got into sports, which is big where I'm from. Football, and
It's huge.
so that's how my life played out. At 35, which was 14 years ago, I picked up a guitar and started writing songs, and here we are.
But I know the oil fields out in West Texas is a huge business. I used to one of my accounts was Boot Barn, and they bought Allen boots, and they were out in West Texas a lot. And Baskins all around the state there. You know, it,
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the oil field. I was an oil field electrician for 23 years out there. So I know all about the oil field and the boom and bust mentality of living out there. And I don't go out that way much these days. It's hard to drag me out there anymore. But looking back as a kid, it didn't seem that bad at the time, But it's definitely a way of life out there, hard work.
well, as you drive from what, Albuquerque through down the 10, you might drive through it, just go, yep, don't live here no more.
No, it's not somewhere you would drive through and be like, man, this is nice.
I can't wait.
It's usually like, man, what's that smell? You know, that's
There's some
H2S.
there's some parts of California, just north of Bakersfield. There's a town called Oilfield, and it's called that for a reason.
Well, they got real creative with that one, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. It's literally called Oilfield.
That guy was tired of thinking that day. He said, oil field.
Let's just call it Oildale. Yeah, yeah.
There you go.
So, do you think having the background that you had gives you a little more appreciation of the success that you've had as a singer? You know, with your fans, like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I know that most artists, I won't say all because it's not all, but I know most artists are very grateful for their fans. But I think me personally, with the way that I got into music later in life, the struggles I had in that regard, I didn't fit in when I first got into music. You know, I'm mingling with guys that are 23 and I'm 35,
yeah, yeah,
and I did not relate. You know, I
yeah.
had already raised 3 kids at this point,
And they
and
haven't even
these
found the first one.
basically, yeah, they reminded me of my kids, is what they reminded me of. So it was a little bit, you know, that was a little bit of a struggle getting into it a little later, but that all kind of played out, and uh, you know,
You
I don't
kind
want
of
to say I burned
submit.
a lot of bridges, but I didn't conform how they wanted me to conform, you know. So for whatever reason, you know how this goes. I mean, when you don't play along with with the game, when you won't kiss the booty,
Yeah,
you you have a harder time. But I wouldn't change anything about the way it all played out. I ended up moving to Fort Worth when I was 43, and that was the last time that I had a day job.
that's
It wasn't
amazing, though.
music.
I mean, to know how hard you have to work to do it full time is amazing.
Yeah, it's a different kind of life, you know. I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, a lot of people work hard. Some people have 2, 3 jobs. But to me, the hardest part about it is just being gone from home so much, you know, because home's such a big part of like your everyday
yeah.
comfort and like your energy, you know, the energy you have, and just being able to come home and, decompress. And to me, that's the hardest part of it. But when you love to do something, you make adjustments, and you find a way to create a routine that kind of gives you that same,
Right.
feeling. But uh I think too, when you love what you do, you work harder. When what you do for a living is your passion,
Yeah.
I think it's never really work.
It, it, Especially if you have something like, working in the oil field for 20 plus years as a comparison.
It's way better than digging ditches. People ask me a lot, "How do you do this, man?" I was like, "Well,
Are
it's
you
way
kidding?
better than digging ditches out
Man,
in West Texas."
I mean, I had construction job. I installed cabinets and sold cabinets and installed doors and on construction sites. And, you'd start at 6 a.m., get done at 4 or 5, then have a 2 hour drive home here in LA. And my
That's a
wife's like,
rough life, man.
my
That's a
wife's
rough
like, how
life.
do you do your job? I'm like, oh, I've had so much worse, honey. I've had so much worse.
Exactly. Getting home as the sun goes down, you left before it was even up, you know.
I had office jobs where I never saw the sun because I'd get in
Yeah,
before the sun would get up and I'd leave when it's dark.
that's
So
rough,
yeah,
man.
I mean,
I always try to keep that in mind when I'm feeling sorry for myself out here on the road, you know. I always try to keep in mind, the way it used to be before when I was working out in the oil field.
that's what I'm saying. Like, I think having that experience is unique because you'll have some guys that, especially like in Nashville, and they've always wanted to be a musician. They're, from their high school age. Now they're in their early 20s and they think that's rough. And it's like, man, you just wait,
It's
just wait.
all about perspective, man.
Yeah.
We believe that, you know. But I'm glad that my career, my life played out the way it did with me getting into music later. Because if I would have gotten into music earlier in life, I probably would have killed myself.
There's
There's a lot of things out here that can get you, you know, especially when you start getting some fame and recognition,
yeah.
and some success under your belt, you know. the women, the drugs,
The drinking,
the
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 parties.
drinking, the sharks out there, the people that don't have your back. That everybody wants a little piece of you, basically. So
Yeah.
you really have to be careful and just live by your morals and not saying I'm perfect, but I think if I'd have got into this when I in my 20s, I don't know if I'd still be doing it right now.
I yeah, my second guest on my show, which was 6 years ago, Cowboy Troy, who's playing with Big and Rich, and you'll see him at the Patriots
Yeah,
Fest. And I forget that Troy's famous, because we just hang out and have lunch or whatever.
right.
We went to dinner one time during the rodeo at NFR in Vegas, and so we're just having dinner, and people
Yeah.
just all of a sudden shots start showing up at the table, and I'm like, "We're gonna get drunk. Who are they?" Like he goes, So he'd go over, talk to them, thank them, and then more
Yeah.
drinks would show up, and then that people over at that table, and you're like, "Oh, this I couldn't.
Yeah, it's people love to get you drunk
Yeah,
when they especially my fans, uh, it's just a thing with outlaw country, man.
yeah,
I had an incident the other day, man. It's going to be my last time though, because
yeah, yeah."
I've had a few over my career.
A few
You know,
last
I,
times.
I've had a few last times, but this is the last time. That's a song right there.
I was just gonna say we just wrote a song, my friend. The new
But
last time.
yeah, I mean, there was one time back in the day, I was friends with the Waylon Jennings family out in Whitefaces. I'm from Odessa, and Waylon was from Levelland, Littlefield area, and I became friends with them. Played Waylon Fest out there, and I would go play for the family. And it was I'd been in Fort Worth for a little while and screwing things up, and I got a DWI, and I was kind of in that mind frame,
Yeah.
and it was like we were playing on a flatbed trailer for the Waylon Jennings family, Waylon's two brothers, his nieces, nephews, cousins, stuff, and some friends, some local friends. And this is where the term Rick the Moonshine Man came from, because my buddy Rick came up to me and he handed me a mason jar full of peach moonshine.
Oof.
And it was cold. It was like one of the first days of the year. It was really cold. My hands were going numb. People had little fires burning everywhere. And I took a sip of that peach moonshine, and that was the best stuff I'd had. I
Yeah.
mean, that tasted good. And so I hadn't had much experience with moonshine, to be honest with you. I ain't no way I was drinking that stuff that's just clear. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
put my tongue in that one time and knew I didn't want nothing to do with that.
Me too.
But this was delicious. And so I drank the entire mason jar
Ooh.
full of moonshine. I think there was that much left in the bottom. And Waylon Jennings' nephew, Zach Jennings, he at the time, I think he was about 13 years old. And he would always get up towards the end of the show and play, because he was a drummer. And he would get up towards the end of the show and play a couple songs with us. And the last thing I remember was I said, "Play those damn drums, Zach." And I fell off the back of the stage, flat of my back. So that until this point, that was the craziest thing that had happened.
That was a new.
And
Now
it's
you got a
funny
new
because
last time.
it is, man. A couple of weeks ago, and I'm in Arkansas again tonight, so I got to go and make up for myself. I'm only about 80 to 90 miles away, maybe 100 from where I did in Little Rock. I'm in Fort Smith now. This was in Little Rock. I don't know, man. It was one of those things where you just have a bad day. It just kind of all builds up, and you just snap, basically.
Yeah.
I've never had a nervous breakdown, but it's the closest thing I could compare it to a nervous breakdown with alcohol involved.
Ooh.
And man, I tell you what, I went on the stage. I didn't know my name. I didn't know the words to the songs. Uh,
You're like, I wrote it, but I can't remember it.
it was painful, man. And so I just start partying with the crowd. They start handing me more shots,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, I'm just sitting down on the side of the stage, having personal conversations with people in the front row. And they said that somewhere along that time frame, I said, "I'm tired." And I just laid down on the stage and basically passed out on the stage.
Take a break.
I took a little break. It was maybe about 15 seconds.
A little intermission.
It was a power nap.
There you
And
go.
then I was able to get up and I finished the show. And man, it was a rough day the next day. I had to apologize to everybody, but my mom, but my family, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of the greatest things, I thought the worst was going to be the fans. You know, I was more worried about them than anybody else. You know, they just forgave me immediately. I literally had people tell me, "Man, that was an awesome show," and I just shake my head. All right, man, thank you.
Yeah.
I
No, I
know it
can't.
wasn't, but I'm
I
glad you
can't
had
do that
fun. You
every
know,
night though.
no, can't do that ever again.
Yeah, I met Waylon in the green room of Hank Williams Jr. with Wolfman Jack in 1986, 87. And I didn't know it. I mean, I knew who they were, obviously. I mean, I grew up watching Midnight Special with Wolfman Jack and Waylon. But now it's like I wish I could go back and go, oh, because we were just all
Yeah,
sitting around. Like my friend knew the Bama band, which was Hank's touring band.
right.
And so we went to I was like 18, 19 years old. I was just a kid. And all of a sudden we're in the green room. We came over on Hank's bus and all that. And I'm like, this is cool. I had no
If you
experience.
only knew then what you know now.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so that now when I hang out with Troy and some of the other things and get to experience some of the fun things I get to do now, I truly appreciate it. You know?
Yeah. As we get older, that seems to be the case.
Yeah.
We appreciate things more and more.
Well,
Of course, when you're 19, you're pretty green at 19, you know.
and I was more green than others. I was, I it's amazing. Like, I'm glad I made it through that. I saw him 2 years in a row. And, yeah, the
That's
next,
cool that they were nice and let you come hang out.
yeah, well, Hank, I didn't meet Hank, wasn't in the room, but, Wolfman Jack and Waylon were just, man, we were just sitting around, just talking. It just made me realize we're all just normal people.
Yeah, that's one thing you until you start getting to a point where you're hanging around famous people and stuff, they are just as weird as we are, you
Yeah.
know, if not worse.
Well, that's
So,
like,
and that's why I have to be careful which heroes of mine I meet because I don't want to be disappointed. But
I'm trying to think. I've only had one. I won't even say it on live, but I met one guy at the road during the rodeo, and I was like, eh.
yeah, I see it a lot, man. I see it a lot, and then I see guys like me. You know, I I don't conform to. I don't just do what I'm told. I don't because you have to do what you feel is best. You know, you can't do what other people tell you they feel is best.
Yeah,
You know, oh, Creed, you need to go to the bus. You know, you can't be out here. No, I don't think so.
I'm
I'm
do
not
what I want.
hiding out on the bus by myself like a prisoner. I'm hanging out with my fans.
Yeah,
And you know what? I don't care what protocol is. I'm going to meet all 1,000 of these fans. And if there's a 1,500, I guess I'll take a picture with the last 500 altogether. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
that makes such a difference, though, man. I mean, especially nowadays. I mean,
that's, I mean, that's a huge part of why my live shows are so successful because I give the fans an experience that they don't normally get. I mean, when I go see Hank Jr., I don't get to have a beer with Hank Jr. I don't get to, you know, sit around and talk and you know and take pictures and sign
yeah,
stuff. And, you know, they my fans it goes a long way, man. And all the kids, I got lots of kids fans. You know, disabled people, veterans.
yeah,
Uh, Last night there was a lady in the front row who she's in a wheelchair. You know, and I gave her the set list and a pick, and then went out there and took pictures with her and just everybody. I stayed till the last fan was gone,
I mean,
but that's just how I
that
do it,
makes
man.
such a big difference, right? I mean, again, I think you starting at 35. I mean, you can think back if you were 34 and you went to see a concert, whether it was George Strait or whoever. If George Strait would come down and talk to you, you'd be like, oh man, you'd be a fan for life, right? So
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. Plus, I just regard. I mean, I do it, man, because I just feel like it's the right thing to do.
yeah,
You know, I feel like I treat the janitor the same way I treat the CEO of the company.
Yeah.
you know, and that's the way I was raised. That's just what I feel is right. That's what the good book tells you to do. And, you know, I go in there and I have more fun than they do, I think.
I and you've been doing it a while, so it's not like it's a new
No,
thing.
it's become a little bit of a challenge, you know. When you have 1,000 people in the bar
Yeah.
and you get done playing, the bar does not want you to come back inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, can't you just go? No, I'm coming back in here and I'm hanging out with these people. And then we have to decide, all right, how are we doing this? You
Yeah.
know, where's the line? Form a line, you know. And to be honest with you, ever since I quit saying, hey, I'll meet you here or there, I'll meet you at the merch stand. Because obviously, as an artist, I mean, if I'm going to come and hang out with you, we might as well be close to my t-shirts and stuff, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
But I found out, man, I just say, I'm going to come and hang out with y'all. And that way, if I step off the bus and there's 5 people there, I don't feel obligated like I'm screwing over the people standing at the merch
Wait.
stand right
Yeah.
now, you know. Yeah. And so it becomes way more relaxed at that point, and I just go with the flow. Like the other day, I don't remember where we were. It's last week. I told everybody I was coming back in to hang out, and when I got off the bus, there was a line of people at the bus. And so by the time I got done with that line of people, I go inside. There's nobody in there. It was in Louisville, actually. It was in Louisville last Thursday. But you know, I play it by ear. You know,
Yeah. Well, I think it makes it more genuine too, right? I mean, when people say, "Well, I'll meet you at my merch table," I'm like, "Oh, okay, I gotta spend $50 for you to say hi to you."
exactly, exactly. It's not about that. It's just about me getting that experience with them at the end of the show. You know,
Yeah. It,
and the less details, the better. You know.
well, like you said, I mean, I could see that creating a problem at a merch table, especially if that merch table's next to the bar and they don't want you.
Well, even if I was to tell them, okay, y'all form a line, that doesn't work either.
Yeah.
These they
How do you handle it? Are you pretty good with that kind of stuff? Because I mean, shit happens. I mean,
I just roll with the punches, man.
yeah.
I over my career, I've just learned, you know, that don't, you know, change the things you can control. If you can control it and change it, change it. If you can't control it, don't worry about it. Just
Absolutely.
make the best of it, you know. I mean, I could go on and on for a whole podcast about all the things that happened sound wise, especially back in the early days of someone's career. You know,
Yeah.
I ran my own sound for a long time, and I wasn't a seasoned sound guy. I became pretty good at it over the years,
I know the feeling.
yeah, you have a lot of problem with sound when you're first starting out in this business. Until you get to that pro level where you can spend a little money and get, you know, a good in-ear system. And then not only that, the in-ear system doesn't do you any good unless you have somebody that knows how to run it and work it.
I,
But my team now, man, I remember just one time back in the day, we were in South Carolina playing a show, and I had my ears in, you know, and I had my pack turned on so I could hear inside the bar. And my bass player, Chuck, he has a real high voice, and all I hear in there is, I don't have any bass. I don't have any bass. It's 3 minutes before we're supposed to go on. So yeah, a lot of stress sometimes, but you know, I've just learned, you know what? If the good Lord wants it to happen, it's gonna happen. You
yeah.
know, if there's anything I can do to help it happen, I'll do that. But if not, man, I'm not gonna sweat it.
You play at you played the chip at Sturgis. Are there any venues or places you'd like to play at that you haven't yet on the bucket list?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few. Uh Billy Bob's, I'm doing this September 13th. So I'm excited about that.
That'd be
I'm
fun.
thinking about having it correlate with a CD release. I haven't talked to my manager about it, but he's pretty good about just letting me do, you know, things that way how I want it. Unless the marketing people, you know, say, you know, give me a good reason why we can't do that. I'm thinking about doing that. And there's a place in Whitewater called Whitewater in New Braunfels where I live, Whitewater Amphitheater. That's always been. I went and saw Merle Haggard and Willie there,
Oh, there you go.
and it's in my hometown. It's just always been some place that I wanted to play since I first started. Other than that, man, just not really. I mean, Red Rocks comes to mind.
Yeah. Have you
You
played the
know,
Grizzly Rose?
I have.
Yeah.
We killed it there. We played there last year.
Yeah.
We
It's
had over a
awesome.
thousand people. I think we had about 1,200.
Yeah,
Had a
because
good old
the
time.
company I work for sponsors a lot, and we see the Grizzly Rose people every year at the rodeo. They come through and they do a giveaway and all that. But that's a fun venue.
I really love that place, the Grizzly Rose. And that was one that I'd always wanted to play. Finally got to play it last year. There's a lot that, there's a lot of these that I'm finally getting to do that I wanted to do. I went out to California for the first time 2 years ago
Where'd you play it out
and
of here?
had no idea what to expect. You know, didn't really expect anything, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, just to get out there and do the best we could. And we played, I swear, my memory might be fooling me. I know it was either a Monday or a Wednesday, but I think it was Monday night. We played on a Monday night. First time ever been in California, and we played in the Ramona, California, down
Yeah.
there, San
San
Diego.
Diego. Yeah.
And I'm sitting on the bus, chilling, thinking, all right, it's Monday night. Don't get my expectations, my hopes too high and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, always keep my shades down in the bus because I don't want to be in there fish bowling. And I thought, I'll raise this blind here and see if there's anybody here. And I raised the blind, and I swear there is a line going around the corner of the block. And we sold that place out on a Monday night. And ever since then, uh, I played 3 shows in California that time. All of them were sold out. All of them were awesome. And then last year I did a big run down from Seattle down through
You got some things going on there, my friend.
Portland, and then all the way down California. And so, man, I don't know. We do really well in California.
Well, I always tell people we have 40 million people in this state. So we got a little bit of everything, you
Yeah.
know.
And I love California. Listen, I talk about this a lot. Now, I love my New York people. I love my New York people, but it ain't California over there. Okay. So we have to have somewhere to send these people. The
Well,
crazy ones we're sending to New York, and we're taking California back because I love California.
I'm with you on that one. I'd send them all to New York. I'd have no problem with that.
Y'all can have New York. We're keeping California.
I'm good with that.
It's a compromise.
No, no, that's a good one. I'm gonna we got to find some politicians that agree with it. So that might be the hard part.
It's calm. It makes too much sense.
My dad always said, my dad before he passed away, he always said I was going to write a book on common sense. I said, Pop, it ain't going to sell. The people that need it won't have the common sense to buy it.
People that need it won't read it.
That's right. So that's life, though.
But other than that, man, I can't think of nothing else. I mean, I'd like to get on. Obviously, I'd like to get on a big tour with the band I really like. I think we're going to do some stuff with Marshall Tucker. We just played a show with them, Marshall Tucker Band.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to do some stuff with a few of the ones. Whiskey Myers, Cadillac 3 is one that's on the table. Um, and obviously, man, anybody like Jason Aldean, Brantley Gilbert, that would be nice to get on a tour like that, do some shows. But yeah, I think as far as venue goes, man, in Texas, I'm a Texan, and Billy Bob's is the pinnacle.
I was going to say,
I'm excited for that.
I went there the night I go there. I go to Dallas twice a year for work, and we went to Billy Bob's. And well, I went to Billy Bob's when I was 30, and I had your kind of experience. I ended up. I found out that the guy running the mechanical bull didn't like guys from California. Let's just say he had fun with me. I pulled my groin and couldn't walk for a few days. Anyways, I was so drunk and it hurt. I was like, boy, if I'm drunk and it hurts, it's really gonna hurt tomorrow.
Yeah,
And it did. But
it's funny, man, because I got kicked out of Billy Bob's back in 2020.
exactly.
I'm gonna bring that up during my show in a funny,
Yeah.
in a funny way. But
Small world.
it was a small. 4 years ago, I was getting hauled out of here,
Yeah.
and here I am.
Playing it.
Let that be a lesson to all y'all out there. You can fix it. You can fix it.
Well, that's what you're gonna find out in Arkansas tonight, right after the.
Oh yeah,
After the
That's
blowout.
definitely coming up tonight. I'm only 90 miles away from there, so
You're gonna have some of the same fans. Hopefully,
yeah,
expect
exactly.
the same kind of performance.
Hopefully, they're going to like the performance where I don't fall off the stage
Or take a nap.
or take a nap on the stage. I hope singing's good. I hope just singing and having a good time is good enough for them.
Yeah, well,
No, we're going to have a great time here in Fort Smith.
you've written you the song came out about 10 months ago, the Lonesome song, and
Low down and lonesome.
yeah, and you've got life being on the highway. I kind of really like that part of that song because I could relate to it being on the road quite a bit. Do you find
That
writing
is,
songs just about your life?
yeah, I mean, it comes straight from the heart, man.
Yeah,
I don't try to put the words together that way. I just do my best to write completely from the heart. That way, it's not even really going through my brain.
yeah,
It's coming from my subconscious. And that's obviously the life I lead out on the road all the time. It's the song is one of my favorite songs on that album. It's a song I love playing live. We play it in the live show. Did a video for it.
yeah.
But it just tells the story of my life, and these walls around me are strong as steel and stone.
Yep.
It's just that balance of you got to be a little messed up in the head to do this. You know what I mean?
I
But
do.
at the same time, you're low down and lonesome, right where you belong. Like you ain't complaining about it,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, you're right where you want to be. You know.
It's the
But
duality of it. That's what I like about it.
yeah, exactly.
And then, so you got your new album coming out, Outlaw Influence.
Outlaw Influence Volume 2.
There you go.
Really excited. It's been a long time coming.
And
So it comes out next Friday.
you make a lot of content. So I mean, is that because you're on the road so much you just keep working?
No, it's just I love to do it.
Yeah.
And it was something when I coach other artists, I mean, the reason why I did that back in the day is because of other artists I watched and how they did things. And I always say, I mean, if you have the content and the money, keep putting it out, keep
Yeah.
putting it out. Okay. But when I say money, I mean the money to record. You're obviously not making a lot of money yet. So that's the whole point. But you have enough. I started with one song, two songs, an album, you know, piece together the next one. At a certain point, before I realized the government owned half my money, I just started recording a bunch because I had the money. And that's how, I mean, and the way I look at it, it's just like, for me, it's just like an EP. To me, there's only a couple of reasons why to put an EP out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Either A, you didn't have the songs, or B, you didn't have the money, or C, you were just happy with that. I mean, you know, so I think at a certain point, just like my buddy Ryan Upchurch that I watch, he did this, he did this. And at a certain point, you put out so much music and now you're making money. And for me, it was always I did things backwards. I always do things backwards from everyone else.
Yeah.
I put out all the music. Most people tour. They don't. I put out music, and then finally I got to a point where when I went on tour full time, and when I went on tour as much as I tour now,
Pull it up.
you can't put out that much music because you don't have the time. I don't really have the time to put out 3 albums a year, but I still have the time to put out two because I enjoy doing that.
Yeah.
It's important to me to keep I do that for me and not to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well,
It's more for me.
things you want
It's
to
more
get
for
out,
me
right?
than it is for anyone else.
How hard is it? And I'm older than you, but how hard is it to stay true to yourself if you have other people and I'm an expert, I'm a manager, I'm this, I'm that, telling you how to do it, and you're like, nah, I want to do it this way.
It is so hard, man.
Yeah.
You have to be able to admit, when you don't do something right, you're gonna have you're going to have hundreds of people in your ear,
Yeah.
trying to tell you the best way to do stuff. But what I always tell the artists, the young artists I work with, don't let somebody else tell you how to screw something up. Get out there and screw it up yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Because at the end of the day, when you screw it up the way you did it, you're going to work way harder to get back and do it a different way. When you screw up and you can't even, all you can do is blame somebody else that you listen to. And then you learn those lessons. And for me, I dealt with a lot and went through a lot of people just, they were there in God's time to be there at that time.
Yeah.
God had placed them in my path at that time, but they weren't people who were in it for my best interest. They were more people who were in it for their own best interest.
Yep.
And they all have different opinions. And then when you start talking about management, I got lucky, man. Colt Ford saved my career.
Yeah.
He pulled me out of the deal I was in. Colt Ford looked at me, or we was talking on the phone, and he said something that blew my mind because I don't know why I'd never thought of this. He said, Creedy, if management can't increase your net value by 15%, that's a bad business deal.
Yeah.
If they can't even pay their own salary,
What are you doing?
what are you doing? And that hit me like a ton of bricks, man. I'm like, wow, that's the realest thing I ever heard.
Yeah.
And so the management team I was with, I'm not gonna say anything bad about them. They just, they it wasn't what was meant to take me to where I'm going.
Yep.
And I was in a bad financial place they couldn't help me pull out of. And they took advantage of me a lot financially. But what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, man. If you're like me, I ain't giving up. I ain't quitting. I might fall down 1,000 times. I'm getting up 1,001. Because this is what I love to do. This is all I know how to do. And God finally led me to the right people that I'm with now, and it's crazy looking back on it
Yeah.
and thinking of all the things that happened. I've fired 10 people. But then you look back and you're like, well, it all happened for a reason. And God got you to where He wanted you to be when He wanted you to get there, and then just realizing that difference of knowing, okay, I'm in a good place now. I'm where I'm supposed to be now with people who have my best interest at heart, who can help me get to where I want to go in my career. So that's tough, man. It's really tough. I'm not gonna lie.
I,
It's ruined a lot of careers in music for sure.
there's a Joe Walsh, the guitarist from the Eagles, who had just a terrific career. He got interviewed one time. This is just a while ago, and he said, they said, "You've led such a great life. What's it like being Joe Walsh?" And he goes, "It didn't feel like that at the time. At the time, drug rehab, this, that. You kind of everyone glosses over all the bad stuff and just goes, oh, you had the Grammys, you had this, you had the big hits, the number ones. You're so lucky." And he's like, at the time, I didn't feel so lucky.
For every Joe Walsh, there's 1,000 people that didn't get there
Yeah, oh yeah,
because of and I'm truly blessed uh, to finally learn my lessons.
yeah,
I
well,
I could have messed this up a whole lot of times, but the people don't see the struggles. They don't see the time when you're sitting in a bus all day with nothing to do and you're just trying and you're missing your family, and you're having to FaceTime your family to see them, and you're dealing with when you're on a bus all day. If you have any kind of substance abuse problems,
it's gonna be bad.
the worst thing you could possibly do is sit on a bus all day
Yeah,
because you are going to drink. I found myself drinking at noon. I hadn't even had lunch yet.
yeah,
And uh, it's just one of those things. In the business of what we do, you see the award shows. You see the
yeah,
final product of the album. You didn't see the scratch take or the raw take of the song, or you didn't see the artist got out of you didn't even know he went to rehab.
yeah,
At least if I ever did, well, I would have a hard time I always say I would never go to rehab because I'm not a quitter, but that's a joke. That's a
Yeah,
joke.
yeah,
But
I gotcha.
no, I personally, luckily and thankfully, I don't have that kind of problem with liquor, with alcohol, where it calls my name and I can't put it down. Like I've struggled with that with marijuana, but with alcohol, it's never been a thing for me. So, but yeah, I mean, if I went to rehab, there's no way that I would be able to hide it. I mean, you can't go to rehab and keep playing your shows, you know? So all the fans see is the good thing, you know, the good
Yeah,
things.
yeah. Well, that's just like life on the road. Everyone tells me how lucky I am. So I get to go see all these wonderful places. Louisville's great. I went there for the Farm Machinery Show, and they did the North American Livestock Expo show there.
Yeah,
But
Louisville's awesome.
but staying in a hotel for 14 days sucks sometimes. You know, Eating every meal out isn't all that great after a
It
while.
doesn't, man. There's something about home. There's
Yeah,
just something about home, a home cooked meal,
just having a
sleeping in your
refrigerator
own
to go
bed.
to. Yeah,
Exactly. But you know, I mean, the thing about it is there's a lot of people that would give, you know, their left arm to do what I do. But one thing they don't understand is this life has its problems just like any other, you know, just like any other life, any other job, if not more, because of all the temptations that you know, you have in your face, in your path. And it's just a different kind of life, man.
yeah,
I get it though. I get it because I'm the same way. I get it home and then I'm ready to go back on the road. The people that live a normal life that do the 9 to 5, I'm sure to us, I mean to them, we look like we're
crazy.
having a lot of fun. We look like we're living our dreams and it's just great. But there are some times that I need them to understand. To me, you look like the one that's having fun because you just got off work at 5 and you're headed home to your kids,
At
to
5:30,
your
you're going to
husband,
be.
to your mom, to your friends.
Yeah,
And you know, there's times where I wish I was headed home after after work, you know. So I guess you always want what you don't have, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. For me, I guess I love being on the road. I mean, I'm like you. I love being home, but I like being on the road too. It's like I guess because I had an office job, and I did kind of that 9 to 5, and I don't know. I like
That's
getting out and
that's what I
doing
love the
new things.
most about what I do, if people were to ask, because I get both, you
Yeah,
know. If and there listen, there are times when you are so busy because you're at a certain part in your career, like there was times last year, you know, where my overhead is so high, I can't fly home. I
yeah,
don't have the money to fly home. You know, I can't take off. I don't have the money to take off.
yeah,
And so you those times in your career are challenging, you know. But then you get to a point where you're like, all right, I can fly home. You know, I can take a weekend off
yeah,
3, 4, 5 months a year, you know. And once I can do that, I can balance this out way better. And it works for me personally, you know.
yeah,
As long as I get that home time where I can go home for a few days and decompress, sleep in my own bed, see my friends, go to my local bar that I love, see
yeah,
my favorite bartender, recharges my energy, and then I'm ready to go again.
yeah,
You know, whereas if I have to live out here on the road, I struggle with recharging.
yeah.
It's hard for me to recharge in a hotel room. You know, I need a Harley Davidson.
This, uh,
You know, I need my own, you know, my own space. I need to walk into my house and see plaques on my wall that, you
that
know,
you
say
put
that,
up. Yeah,
yeah, you know, that I put up and stuff. Oh, this is home. This is my this is my space where my energy is just gonna reabsorb, you know. And 3 days at home and I'm ready to go.
I always tell my wife, especially if I've been a week or more on the road, I go the first night I come home, I just want to eat a nice meal, just in the
Yeah.
bed. Because she's like, "Hey, you're home. Let's go
Yeah.
out." And I'm like, "No, no,
Oh God,
I'm
no.
home. I want to
Oh
stay
God, no.
home."
That's for the second or third day.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I say my protocol, man, when I get home the first day, I want to go have a great meal, you know, either with friends or family, whatever.
Yeah,
And I want to go home and I want to watch some TV, maybe a little bit of TV. No, I don't watch much TV. If there's some sports or something,
yeah, yeah,
and then build a fire and just sit around and stare out in the space because I'm an introvert, and this is tough, man. When I, and what people don't understand, and when you're an introvert, you have to have alone time.
yeah,
You have to have time, or you do not have other human beings around you for you to for your energy to build back up and for you to recharge your batteries. But and it's hard too to do, being an entertainer like I am, being an introvert and then having to go. But it's weird, man, because when I step on that stage and when I deal with my fans, it's different
yeah,
because those are the people that love me. Those are the people that give me the ability to live the life I do. Those are the people you know, that listen to my music, and it's just different because I can sit around with 1,000 of my fans and meet them all and not feel that way. But then again, when I do that for 2, 3 days, 4 days,
need a break.
I need a break because at that point, I don't even want to talk to my bass player. I don't even want to talk to one person after
Yeah,
that.
yeah. See, I'm the same way. It's weird. People think because I'm an introvert too, and usually when I'm like if I'm driving from Northern California to South, it's this 8 hour drive, and there's times when I won't have the phone on, I won't have the radio on, and I'll just sit there and just drive.
I wrote some of my best songs driving with no radio.
Yeah, but
I
that's
used to do that a lot.
but I'm the same way. Like I work the rodeo, and I'll talk to five to 7,000 people a day as they're coming through our booth and everything, and I got no problem with that. But then at night, I'll go walk by myself down the strip because I'm just like I'm done. I need
Yes.
just going. Where are you going tonight, Pete? I'm just going for a walk, get a little exercise, and just not talk to anybody.
I'm getting away from everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Well, the rodeo stuff because it happens almost my daughter's birthday, and I can't miss the rodeo, so I miss her birthday almost about every 3 years. I get to see it, but
Uh,
we make up for it, and with the
uh,
time you have together, you do what you do.
I
But
do a lot of that stuff, man. I have Christmas on the 23rd,
yeah,
you know, especially because being married and living where I was living, I'd have to balance out. My parents live in Texas,
yeah,
so I'd have to very rarely, especially as an entertainer, a musician that tours, do you actually get the holiday on the actual holiday.
exactly right, man. Well, I got my one daughter lives in outside Knoxville with my grandbaby, and then my other daughter's here. You
Uh,
know, unfortunately, both my parents are gone, so I don't have to schedule that anymore.
it's for
But
me. It's the third day when I'm, or really the second, because I fly. I usually fly in. I call it it's about half a day. You get in, you fly in, you eat dinner, and you go to bed.
yeah,
And then the next day, oh, I'm sleeping all day. I'm sleeping in. I don't want to do nothing,
yeah,
and I'm gonna get going about maybe 2 or 3 in the afternoon, and then by the end of that day, I'm feeling pretty good. Go have a nice dinner, and then get some more sleep that night. And then the third day, I'm ready to go do something. Let's go to the zoo. Let's go see our
yeah.
friends. But it takes me 2 days just to kind of regroup.
Well, the other thing I don't think people understand is like for me, it's get the dentist appointment in, get the doctor appointment in, get the eyeglasses in, get the car worked on, got to get my wife's car worked on, got to get the tires and all that stuff that that it doesn't disappear when I'm on the road, unfortunately.
That's one of the hardest parts, man, is planning stuff.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah.
get older, like me, I'm 49, so I got dentist. I mean, I need to. I, I just have my teeth cleaned, but then I have a chip on my tooth, and just figuring out like when to get back in, and you're trying to schedule stuff, and go see my other doctor, get my blood work done. It's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
nightmare sometimes.
I turn 57 next month. I'll tell you, I scheduled. I usually I scheduled a dentist appointment on a travel day. And I was going to Port
Yeah.
Arthur, so I flew into Houston, right? So I'm like, oh, I'll go to the dentist in the morning. They'll numb me up, do whatever they got to do, and I'll just sit on the plane and kick back. I get to LAX to the airport, and on my flight, in line in front of me is Nikki Sixx and Mick Mars from Motley Crue. I'm totally like numbed out. And I'm like, man, I'll never see him again. I want to just say, hey, thanks for making great music. Love watching. And I go up and I go, hey, talking like, oh, fuck, my whole mouth's all numb. It's like, it was embarrassing, but whatever. I had to take
Hey man, you went for it, man. I admire that.
I had to. I was like, I'll never
That
see him again.
you'll never see him again. So
But that goes back to my Hank story. It's like, man, if I ever had the chance to, I won't see Wolfman Jack or Waylon again. So
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in that room.
yeah, me too. I just didn't appreciate it, but I would now. So hey man, you got Patriots Fest coming up, and then you're going to be on the road a little bit more, and then are you busy in the summer? You try and stay out of Texas, or when it's super
No,
not heat?
I'm just touring all over the country.
Yeah, I know you just hit
Yeah.
everything.
I mean, I have one weekend off this month and one weekend off next month, which is nice. That doesn't that hasn't been the case here in the last couple of years, but I'm looking forward to that. But no, we go hard. We go hard all through the summer, basically till Thanksgiving,
Yeah,
and then we kind of slow down in Thanksgiving, but we don't get to stop. We still have to do 7 or 8 shows a month, and then January is always slow. People just do not want to go back to work.
unless you go to Houston.
They're full from all the holidays.
Yeah.
They gained 10 pounds they need to lose now, so it takes them a good 3 weeks to get back into the swing of things.
I'll have to get you set up at the Houston Rodeo, man. That's the only thing that's really it's huge.
I would love to play the Houston Rodeo. That was actually I thought about that when you asked me places I wanted to play. That was one that came to mind.
That'd be a good one.
That would be a good one.
That's late January, early February.
Yeah, yeah, right after the first of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm playing Houston. I'm playing Houston tomorrow. I'm playing Hockley, Texas.
Hockley, I just want it to be cooler. I go there in August for work, and boy, it was miserable last year. And the guy at the counter was like, "Hey, it's the first day under 148 days or whatever." I'm like, "Geez, so 99 doesn't count, man."
That's one thing I do enjoy about touring is I like to spend a lot of time in California, Oregon, New York, Maine,
Yeah,
Ohio. I like to stay up north during the during the summer.
yeah.
You know, the last place I want to go in the summer is Texas or
Texas,
Florida. Florida's
Arizona
even
is
worse.
yeah. That's
85. It might only be 85 in Florida, but it ain't Texas 85. That's
dude, you ain't lying there.
no. So I try to stay up north during the summer. But yeah, Texas is brutal, man. I was gone a lot last year during the summer, which I was happy
I
about.
was
But
gonna say it's
my
good to.
friends, my friends were making a lot of comments and stuff. They were complaining big time. You know,
Well, I was just there in January, and it was shoot, man. It was what I think it was 8 degrees on the first Monday I was there, and it was snowing with wind
it does
chill.
get cold
Maybe
in Texas. People don't realize it gets cold in
I'm like,
Texas.
I was at Dallas. I was at the Dallas Market right by
Yeah.
by Love Field, and
I,
it was. I'm either there in January or August. Those are the 2 months I go for
uh,
work, man. It's either cold or too hot.
tell you what, if you know anything about the geography of Texas, down south is warmer.
Yeah,
Houston, the weather outside of Houston, around Houston, is pretty good in the winter. The weather around San Antonio is pretty good.
yeah,
When you start getting up to Dallas, oh, that's a frigid place in the winter. I mean,
Denton, Allen, all that up there.
yeah, you're going to get some snowstorms. You're going to get
Tornadoes.
a lot more cold weather up north, central Texas.
Yeah, they get some
But
tornadoes
it's
in that
still hot
area.
as hell. I think
Oh,
the devil lives there.
that's a big state, though.
It's a very huge state, man. Try being from Odessa and touring and trying to tour Texas.
You can't do it.
It took us 10 hours to get to Houston.
That's what I'm saying. People that don't understand, California's kind of the same way. It's like, I mean, I drive 300 miles through Central California, and it's just farm fields,
Yeah.
ranches, and cattle and farms for 300 miles. And then you hit San Francisco, the metro area, and San Jose, and LA. But in between, it's all farms.
Yeah. Those are the people that come out to my shows when I play there.
That's right. Well, you should get, yeah, you probably play it um, uh, in Bakersfield, Merrill's old place.
Yeah. I played in that area. We're going back in July, not to necessarily to Bakersfield, but we're doing a run through California in July.
Well, heck, then I'll just repost this in July when I come out and see you.
So repost it. You have to come out, man. See us.
Well, I appreciate the time, man. Enjoy your little bit of time off. Have fun tonight. I want to be a fly on the wall for your show.
Man, it's gonna be good. I got lots of explaining to do.
Exactly, and then you'll be at Patriots Fest on the 18th in Illinois. So
with Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent,
3 doors down. It's gonna be
Big
good.
and Rich, yeah.
Big and Rich, yeah. That's gonna be a good time there, man.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to that one.
Like I said, anytime you can do something that's 100% for the veterans, it's a good day.
It's just good all the way around.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
just
get
good.
to see some bands. I want to get to see Ted Nugent, some bands I've never seen. The
Yeah.
reason why I said that, Ted Nugent was my first concert.
Oh, there you go.
I saw Ted when I was 5 years old at the Ector County Coliseum in Odessa, Texas. And he swung. My favorite song at the time was Cat Scratch Fever.
Yeah.
And I was sitting on my uncle's buddy's shoulders. I was like, well, I said I was 5 years old. I was the tallest thing in the room. This guy was 6'5", and I was on his shoulders. And I just remember Ted Nugent swinging on the stage on a vine, like Tarzan.
Yeah.
And the last time I ever saw him, never saw him since. So
and now you're going to be on the same bill as him.
yeah, and hopefully I'll get to say hi to him. I did a podcast with his wife a few years ago. And obviously we think alike in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's a great cause too, man. Giving back to the veterans. I look forward to seeing 3 Doors Down. I'm a fan, and I've seen them. Big and Rich is always fun. I played a festival with them last year in Temecula, California.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I was supposed to go to that. I saw them. Troy got me tickets when they opened up for Toby during the rodeo, not knowing that would be the last time I'd ever see Toby. So that was pretty amazing.
Oh yeah,
good show.
Glad you got to see that one.
Well, man, again, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate it. Thanks for sharing your stories.
Thanks for having me, man. It's been fun.
We're gonna have to come up with that song.
Yes, we are. We are.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it. Have a good time. Good luck with the new album.
My last time. I promise.
My last time.
I promise, Mom.
And we'll see about that.
Well, thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Chris. Good meeting you, buddy.
Good to meet you, brother.
Appreciate it.
Take care.